How do you find the balance between two sides oneself?
Great.
I didn't know about reactionary thinking and the reactionary part of the brain, also known as the emotional side. Um, so I had to think about then, how do you find balance between mind and emotion? Because to me, it's just like my original thought was just like, there's not much to it. You just have to kind of like, you just have to kind of like figure it out, and that's the best that I could do. And obviously, that's not good enough, then, is it? Um, what was I saying? Damn, can't remember. Yeah, so I had to think about how do you find balance between two sides of oneself? How exactly do you do that? You can't just say, "Oh, you gotta figure it out and leave it at that." You've actually got to kind of explore, you know, how do you find that balance? And so the reason why I eventually started factoring like the reactionary mind or reactionary thinking is because I got into politics 5 years ago, and I started to like hear this term be thrown around like reactionary thinking, reactionary thought. So eventually, then I realised that I need to apply that word to two sides of oneself philosophy. I need to apply it to the emotional side. So basically, what happens is your reactionary side or reactionary part of the brain metaphor is about how when you are dealt with new information, and it's like you don't know how to process that information, and then you come to a conclusion very very quickly, very very hastily, and very very like rashly and stuff, and so then you just start thinking without logic. You start thinking without actually using any reasoning whatsoever. It's just like your automatic brain, your automatic reasoning just kicks out, and you just blurt the first thing that comes to your head. So what I eventually realized was if you're going to find balance between two sides of oneself, you've got to initially get past the reactionary side of your brain first. So that's how you find balance between two sides of oneself. You've got to push through the reactionary side. You've got to push through the anxiety. You've got to calm yourself down, think logically, be patient, use reasoning, and then actually explore the truth behind what that person said or what's the truth behind that new information. And then you start to come to a much more broadened answer that has like nuance and reasoning and actually makes sense, and it's not just based on like pure emotions and reactionary thought. Um, so yeah, so once you push through that reactionary part of your brain, that reactionary side of yourself, it's a matter of just simply pushing through that and then applying reasoning to that new information, for example. What's the other part that I said I had to factor in? How do you? Oh, right, I just did it. So how do you find balance between two sides of oneself? How do you actually? How how do I factor in the reactionary part of the brain, or reactionary thinking? And that's where the philosophy does it come kind of to the end, even though in this first, when I started recording this, when I flicked the button off, um, I didn't record the first part of this conversation where I actually explained two sides of oneself philosophy. I'm just trying to think about other parts of it. The reason why you need a balance between mind and emotion is because your emotion is linked to empathy, and without empathy, without emotion, you can't think logically effectively, and you can't judge things effectively when it comes to ethics. You can't judge things ethically in an efficient and accurate way. And the way in which I learned about you need to find balance between mind and emotion. It's not just about thinking pure logic. It was based on a TV show. And that's a story for another time.